Young Democrat, Davante Jennings, president of the Young Democrats of Georgia. Davante, welcome to you. I know you have different thoughts on where you're supporting and where you'll cast your ballot in November. What is it about Kamala Harris that you are optimistic about America's future if she were elected?
One, what she'll do for reproductive rights, as you see what we're dealing with in Georgia, unfortunately, with the passing of the young lady Amber, getting all of these things rectified. But then also, too, people love to talk about the economy and how affordable things were, not realizing Donald Trump was handed a pretty nice economy coming from the Obama administration, and everything that President Joe Biden is having to deal with now comes from a Trump administration. So, hence why he's visiting a Savannah because of how much money the Biden administration dumps into Savannah for infrastructure. So, when it comes to reproductive rights and what she'll do for the economy and small businesses, I think VP Harris is the only choice.
What are the conversations you're having, Davante, about new voters, new engagement, and people who are curious about this election? What are they saying as they jump on board?
I think they are mostly what we're hearing is people want to see a change in things. They also pay attention a lot. I think when they weren't engaged, they were still taking a very backseat approach, looking at what the candidates were saying, paying attention to what each candidate was saying. And I saw a big shift, especially after the debate, once people started to realize, one person has a lot of attacks, not really a plan, and then one person coming with a well-developed, well-thought-out plan. And that's all people want to hear right now. People could really care less, honestly, about parties. They want to hear about plans and solutions.
Yeah, and hear about the future. So it's one thing to be engaged, to have these conversations. It's quite another to show up in November and cast that ballot.
Mhm.
What's happening on the ground to make sure that voters your age go to the polls to cast their vote?
We, as the Young Democrats of Georgia, have implemented a GOTV plan and strategy, which goes with supporting a lot of our chapters across the state. And we realize the biggest thing that we have to do is literally just keep mobilizing in our chapter areas, going to rural areas where we're also chartered, and really mobilizing them. Which starts with us getting the funding to then pump down into them, because one thing that we do have over our opposition is the fact that we know how to mobilize. We are true, purebred organizers. And I believe and know for a fact that we will deliver Georgia for VP Harris.
Is the focus, Davante, on college campuses? And what's that outreach look like beyond college campuses to young voters across the state who aren't in universities?
Mhm. Good old fashioned canvassing, door knocking, being in the community. We're doing a lot more community events like uh, we had a chapter do a block party, things like that. And while we were having the block party, you see people who are at the park with their kids or just walking by exercising, and they're coming by saying, "What's going on here? What is this?" Drawing those, especially younger people, in when they're at the basketball courts, meeting them where they are is the biggest approach that we're having. And that's just what people seem to lack nowadays. They think people should, come to the events that they're promoting, failing to realize sometimes you got to go to the basketball courts. You got to go out to public events. And we're just going to meet them where they are.
What does it mean to you, Davante, as a young voter to take part in this electoral process?
I think for me, it really hits home when you think about specifically for someone like me, a younger Black individual, when you just see the history, what it took for us to get to this point. It's like an obligation at this point. We've had so many people die for this right for us to be able to get to vote who didn't get the chance to vote. And I only see it's right. So, especially when you see the attacks going on, especially here in Georgia with these ridiculous laws and things they're trying to put out into place to stop us from voting, you start to realize how big and important it is to vote. So, those are kind of in a nutshell everything that motivates me.
Yeah, it's such a privilege to be part of that. Finally, where are you from, Davante? Where'd you grow up? And tell me something about Georgia that most people wouldn't know or that you love most.
Yes, I was originally born in Huntsville, Alabama.
Huh?
Went to high school out here. And I think one thing people fail to realize about Georgians is we're a lot bluer than people think, and we have a lot more grit than people understand as well. So the polls show what they show right now, but I guarantee you the Young Democrats of Georgia will deliver Georgia to VP Harris.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.